Hey everybody, it's Lynn from A Bit of Birdsong, and my hair's going crazy. I am sitting at my sewing machine, which is over 30 years old, and it's still running, thank goodness. I had trouble with it for a couple of weeks, and I think it just needed a good cleaning and oiling, and I think I had forgotten exactly how to thread the bobbin, even though I've used it for years and years. I looked up a tutorial on what could be basic problems if your stitches aren't right. And when I was putting the little bobbin in the bobbin case, and you know how you wrap the thread in and it kind of clicks into place, mine needed to actually go one step further under this little sort of band in the bobbin. And I wasn't doing that. I had gotten really lazy, so even though it was working, it was skipping stitches and stuff. So you know what? You never know. When you think you know how to do something, sometimes you might just get slack. I might, not you. So I'm going to do a cover for a botanical journal that I'm working on. And most of you probably already know how to do this, but I was going to just share the whole thing since I'm going to do some kits for sale. And I have this beautiful fabric, this floral pattern. It's a heavy upholstery fabric. I'm going to leave this on this particular one because, you know, I like things like this. And I have cut out a heavy piece of cardstock that's going to go in between the fabric and the image that I'm going to put on the inside of the journal. So I'm going to adjust you a little bit. So the fabric is cut almost exactly the size of the paper. And I think I'm going to sew on this side so that I can make sure okay, there's that side. Okay, the next thing I've done is cut a pretty piece of wallpaper that's going to be the inside cover. So this is going to be hidden. It wouldn't bother me even if this was showing, because you could put, this looks like vintage poster board. I love the color and I love the feel of it, but I'm going to cover it. And even if you use something plain like this, you're going to put pockets on the inside, so it'll dress it up, and you could stamp images before you put the pockets on. You know, there are so many ways to decorate it. I cut this a little bit smaller than the fabric because I don't want this hanging out over the fabric. I want it to just cover the paper underneath. That's going to cover, I've got it kind of sideways. So let's sew this on. Everything is one of a kind, and I love that you can see the different layers. Okay, so there is the cover. Now, you have to be a little careful when you're putting the fabric on the outside. If you stretch it too tight, you're going to make the cover want to pull out that way. So you need to leave a little, not super loose, because you do want it to cover, but you just don't want to pull that outer fabric too tight. And I'm going to trim up the edge just a little bit. You can see where it hangs over there. I like it to be like fun and sort of organic, but I don't want it to be too sloppy. And the kits that I'm making, every one is going to have a cover that's ready to go. And trying to decide if I'm going to put pockets in the inside. I don't think I am. I think I'm going to let everybody do the pockets that they want to do. So, and you don't have to use the cover. You could do your own and use this for something else. But I love to garden, and it is so nice to keep a little journal where you can put, you know, tags from plants. I always keep those, and I write down what I planted every year so that the following spring, when you think you will remember everything and you don't, you can look at your little journal and know exactly what you planted. Now I've got a beautiful piece of fabric that's got a bird on it. It's very satiny. Now, one thing you can do is decide if you want to sew an embellishment on the fabric for the cover before you sew the cover together, or you can do it after. The difference is that your stitching is going to show on the inside cover if you do it after. What I've done at this point is to get all my papers ready that I'm going to sew into the cover that we made. Nothing is sewn in yet, although I've done some sewing on some of the pages. You can see that, let's cut this string. Sometimes I leave strings a little bit, but sometimes not. It's kind of charming, but you don't want really long strings everywhere. So on the cover, I had already shown you this fabric, I think. I took a little piece of white cotton and I just stamped Boho Botanical on the front. Now I was impatient and I got some glue on the back of the fabric. It's fabric glue, which is really nice. It's the Fabric Fusion. I guess they still make this, but Lynn's, she makes the tacky glue, or they, whoever Lynn is. Whoever Lynn is, that sounds terrible. I mean, I don't know if it's a company name or if it's a person's name. That's what I mean by that. At any rate, I'm sure that they still make a fabric glue and the tacky glue, but in the final kits that I'm gonna do, I won't let this fade. I wanted to go ahead and get the fabric on the cover. And actually, if I had thought about it first, which the idea of stamping this came to me after I had put this pocket in, if I had thought of it first, I probably would have stitched this on. However, now that it's glued on, I kind of like it. I don't know. You can tell me what you think if you want to. I would love that. You know, but no pressure, not putting pressure on you to tell me what to do with this thing. Anyway, you do want to do all the sewing on the cover before you put anything in. Same with the pages, pretty much. If you're going to use a sewing machine, definitely get your stuff all stitched before you try to put it in the book, because once it's in there, it's really hard to go back and put anything under the sewing machine. So I think I have 13 pages, and maybe that's an unlucky number to some people. You could go back to 12 or bump it up to 14. I probably could have added a couple more. I don't know. Anyway, that seems to be about the number of pages that you can sew in easily. Now, some of my pages, like the magazine page, and this is my little centerfold. I love this. I have a workshop slash, it's a shed that my sweetheart converted to a workshop for me. I want it to look like this. I love a cottage garden, and I miss my cottage garden very much, and I'm trying to redo. So this, for my garden journal, is going to be the centerfold. But I did not want the writing that was on the back of it. So I stitched some pretty cardstock to the back, and that really doubles the thickness of the page. So that's why I say, at least for mine, I try to stop at about 12 or 13 or 14 pages. Then there's a piece of dyed paper. You could stamp the paper, but it gives you space to write on. I will probably put some botanical stamps on there. And there's another pretty picture of a garden gate. This whole side has got a pocket across it. Of course, it won't show up all on the same page, but I think for a garden journal, you would need several pockets to put seed packages in. I save the little tags from plants that I buy so that I can remember exactly the
genus and species or whatever, like if I get an azalea or a butterfly bush or whatever. So I think you need pockets to keep things like that. Here is another page. You could write on this, and I've embellished it with a little piece of fabric that has a dragonfly on it. I'll be putting some of these in the kits. And just pretty paper. I've got these pages lined up the way I want them so that on every page or every place or page that it's opened up to, it matches. And here's a page from an herbal book that I have. And there's just another blank page for writing. On this side, I've stamped an azalea stamp. I love tile. Oh my goodness. And I love to work with mosaic projects. So, and I love to have water in the garden. I used to also have, can hardly even talk about it, just a gorgeous, beautiful goldfish pond with great big goldfish. And they did well year round, but I took such good care of that little goldfish pond. I dug the deep, big hole myself, which was a lot of work, and I installed it myself. I put the pump in, and oh, it was just beautiful. But I do want to have something like that again. And this was just a reminder to me, the faucet. Let me turn it so you could see. On the page, it was actually going across the backsplash and everything on a big sink that was tiled, or kitchen that was tiled. So that's just to remind me to enjoy watering and to maybe work on some mosaic projects. And that's the fun thing about a journal. You personalize it for yourself. So my kits will have, I'm going to try to make them, exactly the way you want them to be, which is enough to make a journal. And then you embellish it even more with your own personal things. And there's just another beautiful garden path. It's hard for me to have things like that now because of the deer. I am learning what plants are truly deer resistant. They will eat just about anything though, but I need to speed it on up. Here's another page. There is just like a pocket on this one, like a side, a tuck spot, I guess. It's kind of large though. That would be great for things like if you go on garden tours, maybe to save the little handouts or plant information that you receive. And there's just a little music sheet with a song in my heart from Spring is Here. That's sweet. 1929. Another piece of dyed paper. There's just a beautiful magazine page with a collection of flower petals and feathers. Oh, and I just love this bowl in the background. I collect big ceramic basins and bowls and things for crafting and for the garden. There's a page with roses and some more dyed paper. And there's just another beautiful page with all of these fresh cut flowers. You can see this beautiful fabric in the background. And I love the little coffee cups. I love my coffee, and I love to drink it out, either in my little fenced-in garden or out on the patio in the mornings. So that's just because I love to do that I put that page in. And then I just think this is beautiful. I love this particular scrapbook paper. Again, I didn't just want the other plain white side showing, so I just laid a piece down from a magazine that I wanted to keep or a book that I wanted to keep. I did this on several pages, and I did a zigzag stitch all the way around the edge after trimming the pages to be the same size. And I don't always trim to be the same size. You can see on this one, since it was pretty, I left the edges so that it shows. And I'm not sure if I'll do anything here. I might just leave this plain. I did put some little fabric tabs in, and I staggered those. And I thought it would be nice if you put you know, tuck things into the journal and you want to remember exactly where it is, you could go back and find it quickly. So I am going to sew these pages in, and the first thing I wanted to do was to show you the pages themselves and how I did them. So messy desk and everything, I'm going to show you how I stitch the pages in. So I've got two different types of thread. I've got some embroidery floss, which is really, really strong, and they make different sizes of this floss, and you know how it can be. It can come apart in little tiny strands. This doesn't do that so readily. It stays together better. It seems to be really, really strong. I always see if I can break the thread before I use it for a journal. The last thing you want is to get everything stitched in and then have the thread break. Now, I'm going to use the embroidery floss because I think that's what a lot of people have access to and what they use, and it's good to use. But recently, I bought this, the waxed linen thread that I just love. I love working with this, and that's what I use all the time now. I'm going to put a link to the shop, Uber Art, and maybe you can see this beautiful little card. It's exactly what I expected. It was delivered quickly, and I just love it. It's easier to work with because when you get ready to tie it off, this wax helps the thread to stay in place. And I don't know about you, but when I'm making things at my art desk, I'm alone. I don't have a second person there to hold the string down so I can tie a knot. I guess I could always call Jason, but that's not always possible. The other things that I have, this is a needle with a really large eye, and I have this little threader thing. Well, can't even tell what I'm doing, to help pull the thread through, because it's still not easy to get it through even if the eye is large. And I have an awl. I love this one. This one came from Amy Tangerine, and I might put a link to maybe any of the kits that I can find that she or the company does. I've really enjoyed this. It's easy to use. Now, if I'm going to make a big journal with like 5 or 6 signatures, I do a little template on paper. I almost think you have to be able to line all the pages up. Even then, I get impatient. I like to do things fast. I want things done right away. That's not always a good quality to have. You want to make sure all your pages are in the order that you want. I tried to line mine up so that the colors look good every time the book is open. So I take really large paper clips and paper clip the pages down so that everything that's supposed to be in the center is folded up right there in the center. And a lot of times I've just got this in my lap to work with it. It seems like it's easier. Now you have to be careful. You don't want to punch that all through the book and put it in your thigh. That's not what you want. So I am very careful about that, but I'm trying to keep this under the camera so we can see it. I love big paper clips. I'm just addicted to paper clips in general. I think most of us are. They're just so fun. Who knew paper clips would end up being so fun? They used to be just plain gray metal paper clips. So on this page, I'm not sure why that little page there seems to be, and you know what? Don't be afraid to take the paper clips off and move some stuff around. Yep, look, that got off center a little bit. It's worth a few minutes, and it seems like it's taking forever, but it's really not. I think this is a process that intimidates everybody. It intimidated me, but it really doesn't take that long. And you know what? It doesn't have to be perfect. That's part of the charm of these handmade journals. Okay, so I'm going to stand up. For putting the holes in, I don't measure on these. Some people use 5 holes, and that is good for a lot of cases. This, I think 3 are fine because we're only working with one signature. And if you've got some really good thread, and it just makes it easier. So I'm going to kind of fold this a little bit so it keeps everything in line. And I'm just going to get right in the center, and I'm going to press all the way through. And you got to kind of keep it, you don't want to get your fingers. So it did come out in the center. I guess you can see that. I've done it before where it was off center a little bit, and I just backed out and tried again. Now you don't want to end up with holes all over the page. It will become unsightly, but don't worry too much either, especially if you're going to tie a ribbon through the center of the book. So we've got that one, and as you can see, it's going to be hard to see where that hole is with this fabric. So we've got one there. I'm going to go to the center, from the edge to the center here, and I'm going to put another one. And there, that one's pretty good too. It's a little bit to one side, but I think that's okay. Yeah, that's fine. Move it around a little bit to make sure we can keep up. Let's go back and do that with the one in the center too. Oops, I knocked my paper clip off. I guess I could put it all the way down. I just don't want to get caught in the thread around the edge, the stitching. Wow, this paper and the fabric makes it hard to see, but that's okay. Maybe that's good. So that'll show us that it's still easy to do. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to go right to the center, and I'm going to just punch straight down. There. Once you get it through, kind of open the book up, because if you keep it closed, that round part can make marks on the page. I mean, you shouldn't tear the page or anything, but get on here. So now we've got 3. There's 1, 2, there it is, 3. Better push those all the way on. Now to sew it, I'm going to measure thread like this. I'm going to measure 1, 2. I do about 2.5 or maybe a little more as far as the length. Do the length of the book twice and then a little more than half. And now, where did my needle go? Oh, I never want to lose a needle. My mom's cat swallowed a needle. And that turned into surgery and recovery. Cats mess with everything. I don't think these cats would do that, but I just have fears of losing a needle. And if you craft, there's little stuff everywhere all the time. So this is easy. It just goes right through. And let's pull this thread. I've kind of bent my thing here. Okay, so the first one is always the easiest to me because I do mine so that the knot is tied in the center. So I'm going to push this through and pull it until I have some string left hanging. Make sure we got this the right way. Yeah. So now I'm going to go to the bottom one on the outside. And what I will do is go back to this hole. I'm going to push that through so that I can see where the hole is on the other side. And I just follow this right back out because it is hard to see. So as I'm pulling the awl out on the other side, and it's still, there it goes. You have to move it around until you find it, and don't panic. Just take some time. So this is going to go up through there, and you pull it kind of tight, but you don't want to pull that string all the way through. Now we're going to go back down through this hole in the center, which is pretty easy. You just want to be careful not to put the needle through your thread. Try to get beside it, because it can catch and knot up so that you then can't pull your thread tight. It splits the thread. And that's one other reason I loved that waxed linen, because it's like you're just working with one piece. Come on now. There we go. Now the same, I'm going to go back on the outside, but I'm going to go to the top one this time. And of course I'm using green thread for my botanical theme. So I'm going to push that through and turn this over, and I'm going to follow just like before. I follow this right through. See how easy that is? How long? That didn't take long. Now we're going to pull these kind of tight. Make sure, look, they look nice. Just see your little thread there on the outside. You know, something else. And you want to make sure your pages are the right way up and not upside down. I've done stuff like that, and then you have to take it out and do it again. Let's just double check. Yeah, it looks fine. So this can be the tricky part, because you want the thread to be tight enough that your pages are not loose. So what I do, I tie one knot right there, and then I put my finger on it. And I guess you have to just be handy enough to tie your second one out here. I hold that down. And what I do on this second one, I do a surgeon's knot, which means you put it through one time, just like you were, you know, going to tie a regular knot, but then I wrap it around one more time. So it's been wrapped around twice. I'm going to hold that thread and just keep pulling this knot right up under my finger so that I don't make the thread slack at all. I want to keep the tightness of the thread. And that loosened up a little bit, but I think it's fine. And again, with the waxed linen, you won't have that problem. And with this, you can always just go get your whoever is around, your significant other. Too bad pets can't help with this. I'm going to tie this one more time just because I can. But you could always get somebody to hold it for you. Now let's pull these out. I don't want to get caught on my pretty stitching around the edge. That's the only thing about paper clips that I do worry about, is how they can get caught in the stitching. So I'm always careful. I still love them. I'm just careful. So now we have this journal with the pages sewn in. Oh, look how pretty. Love it. Love it, love it. And then comes another really fun part, and that is embellishing the journal. So I will be back with an embellishment pack that I'm going to put together for the kits, and I will show you what I do to finish this up, and then it's going to be my boho journal for my garden for this year. And we will work on a closure for this. Okay, so I'm here with my completed journal, as far as the journal just being put together, and now the fun part is using it. I have already put a few things in that are from this year's gardening efforts. I want to show you the completed journal and talk about what will be in the kits. I have tied mine with just a piece of sari silk for right now. I did change the color of the ribbon. I had lavender there earlier in the video, but I didn't really like the way the lavender looked with this, so I took that out and put kind of a sage gray color. I think all the green in the back makes it look sort of sage, but it did seem to have some gray in it. I like it a lot better though. So let's just go through, and again, I got impatient with my stamping here. The final kits won't have that fading in there, although it's kind of cool. It makes it look old. In the kits, the fabric on the cover will vary in some of the kits. It's all going to be botanical. It's all going to be really nice fabric. The big piece on the front as an embellishment will vary a little bit. And what I'm going to do with these kits is show a picture of the different covers, which is a little bit more work, but that will allow people to get what they want. And a lot of everything in the kit is basically going to be the same as far as the structure of the kit. Like every kit will have fabric cover, every kit will have one of these, an embellishment for the front, lots of pages to go inside, but of course a lot of this stuff is one of a kind, so it is going to vary, and I'll do some pictures for the kits. Okay, so we have this card in the front that is from a digital I have. Everyone will get one of those. The vintage leaf, I don't remember if I even showed this in the first part of the video, but that is sewn onto the pocket, and I will put lace, trim, well I guess this is actually like a seam binding, and there will be enough fabric for pockets. All of these little embellishments that I have in here, the kits will have them. There is a bookmark from a local plant show, a really sweet little image from a 1930s edition of Peter Rabbit, and of course they will vary because they didn't, all the illustrations were different in the book. There's more fabric for another little pocket. I have already taken a picture of the little fairy garden that I did, and that is in the journal, in my journal. So you could put pictures in yours. There will be a little dashboard, so to speak, which is something you can insert between the pages to write on. It keeps you from writing on things like, paper clips or whatever. And that's just a sweet little book page with some botanical theme cardstock on the back. It will have some tea-stained paper, and it may be dyed in different colors. Every kit will have a couple of these little pieces from a scrapbook pack that I have with a few little pieces of the green paper, and you can do whatever you want to with it. I decided to make a little booklet with mine, and I even put little green staples in there. Every kit will have some of these tags. I glued this one on this page. I just really like the little birds. And then I glued this one on as a tag with a little piece of sari silk or ribbon. And I did put, I think it's a grommet. I heard Renee say that the other day from GT Designs. I couldn't remember what they were called. I think I had been calling them rivets, and I knew that wasn't right. I think they're grommets. Anyway, thank you, Renee. So every kit will have a piece of music, and every kit will have a few pages from this little book, and I will stamp botanical on one of the pages. So if you want to make a little, I'm using this and the other piece of paper kind of like a wish list for myself, or a little planning book, things that I want to get done this year. Every kit will have enough paper and images that you can do things like this. Obviously, I'm not going to be embellishing your pages, but you will have enough to do things like this, and you will have the video for ideas. I love to look at the videos that other people do just to get ideas and inspiration, and I love that, how we just kind of bounce off of each other. It'll have beautiful garden pages, and again, there will be more lace trim. It may vary from pack to pack, depending on, you know, how much I have of each different one, but it will be tied in with this theme, and kind of tied up with the cover as far as color and style. There's that beautiful page again with the tile. I have stamped some of my pages with some botanical stamps that I have. I have several. I've got the tulips, and there's magnolia. Try not to stack them up on each other because they tend to get ink. There's the rose stamp. Let's see, which one is this one? Azalea. It's pretty. I don't remember how many I have. I think I have one more up here. Pansies. That's all I can find for now. Oh no, there's one more. And I think this one might be my favorite. It was back in the shelf over here. The clematis. Love it. Yeah, you got to be careful with the ink. I don't want to get it on my pages. I should do better about cleaning my stamps, but I typically use the same color of ink over and over, so I don't worry too much about getting the ink off every time. Now, if I use acrylic paint, that's a different story. I always wash them right away. I put a stamp of the magnolia on a little note card, so every kit will have at least one of these stamps on a piece of paper that you can paper clip in or do whatever you like with it, make a pocket or whatever. The herbal page, there's just more pretty cardstock. I put my moth page in this little pocket, and I've already put some of my plant tags in here. And again, every kit will have enough paper to do your pockets and plenty of pages. This fern that I bought, oh my gosh, it is so gorgeous. I had to have it when I saw it. It's really pretty, and it's in my little fenced-in garden so the deer can't get to it. And like I said, I think with these botanical journals, if you're really going to use it to keep track of your garden, in my opinion, you really can't have too many pockets, because I end up with a lot of paraphernalia, if you will, plant tags and just little receipts and brochures and things. We even have a lot of local free, they're not newspapers, but like little magazines that have garden information. Like if we go out to Elmo's Diner, they have in the lobby all these free publications that you can get, and some of them are geared towards gardening, and I will always see an article or something that I want to keep, and it's nice to be able to stick it in a pocket in the journal. Every kit will have one of these cards, and I will go ahead and do the grommet so that you have that, and again you'll have lace. So I've stamped a little bird on that page. And again, you can see where I've doubled up on some of my pages. I'll put plenty of paper in for you to do things like that. There's the paint chip. Every kit will have one of those. And this is where I've already turned one of my plant tags into a tag for my journal. And I wrote April 2018, planted a 6-pack of lilies in the fenced-in garden. And Sharpies really, really work good. I like to keep a few Sharpies on hand in colors that I like, because they write on just about everything. I can't remember what I've shown you and what I haven't. Every kit is going to have one of these pages that fold. They're kind of large pages. I flipped mine up and sewed along the edges to make a couple more pockets. This is something I could actually pull out and take with me if I was going to go to Home Depot or whatever. Or, you know, you wouldn't have to. You don't want to mess up parts of your journal, but it is nice to be able to pull this part out. And it's more storage. And I tied just a ribbon around that part and put another little charm. This one says Create. You will have plenty of ribbon to do things like that, and there will be a few charms in the kit. I love this postcard of the eagles. I think we have eagles Yeah, this is North Carolina. You know what? I didn't even see that before. I was going to say, I think we have eagles in certain spots, but you really rarely see them around here. I think you see them more now. It says Environmental Eagle Habitat, Grandfather Mountain, Lynnville, North Carolina. Oh, I love Grandfather Mountain. I've been there many times, and I just loved it every time. But every kit will have some kind of postcard with either a bird or a botanical scene. And again, it will vary a little bit. This is a pretty sticker from the National Wildlife Federation. Every kit will have a sticker or two from that, and again, they're one of a kind, so they will all vary. But that is the fun of a kit like this to me, because all of your kits are going to be a little bit different. And every kit is going to have a beautiful blank note card with some birds. Again, they'll each be a little different. They're all one of a kind. They're nice to be able to write in, though. That might be good for a special memory. Like even today, I think Jason and I, we've talked about going to a garden center today and having breakfast together, like a brunch, I guess it would be more like. So every kit is going to have one of these dragonflies on the fabric and some vintage notebook paper from an old notebook I have. And this paper it's a great size. I love the rounded corners. You can tell it's old. I think I've had this for probably 20 years, and I don't know how old it was when I got it. I've got a whole book full of this stuff. And every pack is going to have a vintage image with a kind of a garden feel. I love the trees in the background. It looks like the dogwoods are just starting to bloom. Oh, and every kit is going to have some kind of image of a beautiful lady. She looks like she's reaching out to this rose bush. I hope there are not thorns there. Probably are. I attached mine to this page with a grommet so that I can just tuck things underneath. I like doing that. And then I usually put a paper clip too, because things slide out. Oh, I love birds. I love the pet birds too. Parakeets and parrots and the cockatiels. They're just beautiful birds. Every kit will have a little card that I've stitched and made like a little bookmark with. Let's keep going. This pocket has the library card, Nature and Poetry. Every kit will have a library card that's nature themed, and one of these little note cards for writing. I love that it has the little book and the little fountain pen. I was going to see, what does that say? Inkwell. Oh, it says Oddballs, Pine Bluff, Arkansas. I'll have to look that up. Once again, I found these out on one of my treasure hunts. Really pretty. More pretty pages. Another stamp. I stamped this one. It was like a little postage stamp almost. It says Poppy Post. And the vintage leaves here, I glued these to make a tab. I love that, and I love it especially on this page. And there we are at the back. And again, every kit is going to have a little nature coloring page, little postcard, and a piece of cardstock in that size for taking notes and what have you. That's it. So the kits will be, they'll be listed soon. I don't have an exact time yet. I'm hoping to get them listed this weekend. And thank you so much for watching this. If you're still here, maybe there was just a certain part of this you wanted to see, and I've tried to mark the times for you so that you can just tune in to part of this video if you like. So thank you so much for spending your time with me. I will, of course, post the kits and maybe edit this description so that you know when they're actually in the Etsy shop. All right. Thank you for watching. Bye.